You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks. This is crazy. The scathing editorial, the New England Journal of Medicine calls on voters to throw Donald Trump out of office. It's the first time the medical journal has taken a stance on a U.S. presidential election since it was founded in 1812. The editorial states, quote, when it comes to the response to the largest public health crisis of our time, our current political leaders have demonstrated that they are dangerously incompetent. We should not abet them and enable the deaths of thousands more Americans by allowing them to keep their jobs. The editorial was signed by nearly 36 of the journal's editors. Joining me now is Dr. Ebony Hilton. She's Associate Professor of Anesthesiology and Critical Care Medicine at the University of Virginia. Ebony, glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Damn! I mean, they've never said this before. This is called clearly, get this fool out.
Listen, there's a lot happening. I think America needs a timeout. We need to figure out who is actually running our country and who's running it behind that person, because the person in charge right now is not firing on all cylinders. So, yeah, here we are.
Well, this is, and of course, the idiot has also announced that he's going to be he's already had a super spreader event for A.B. Coney Barrett that's infected all these different people. I still don't believe that he's actually fully out of the woods when it comes to coronavirus. Now this fool is going to have 700 people on the south lawn of the White House tomorrow. You got to be a dumbass. You got to be an absolute dumbass to go to the White House for any event after nearly 24 people have been infected with coronavirus, including the fool holding the event.
Right. I mean, at this point, I honestly don't understand what the driver is. Initially, people can try to deny that it exists. He said it was a hoax. Then people could say, well, everyone else is getting sick, but he has such tight protocols and he's safe. But now, literally, the White House is a cesspool. I don't know, it's troubling. So at this point, whoever shows up is literally asking to be infected by COVID-19. I'm just hoping that they take consideration to say if they make that choice for their own life, that they do not take it outside the walls of their own home or the lawn of the White House to infect other people who didn't ask for this, because they will be spreaders of this virus and people are going to die.
Hell,
unnecessary.
Hell, Niambe, Mitch McConnell is already on record saying, I ain't taking my ass to the White House. They got some jacked up ass protocols.
Right. And I feel like if that's...
Actually, hold on. Niambe, go ahead. I can't hear you. Go ahead.
Mitch McConnell doesn't want to die before his election, right? So Mitch McConnell is not a fool. Now, they're happy to let the rest of us die. They're happy to let the rest of us take risks, but they're not willing to take those same risks and those same gambles with their own lives. And I think that should tell everybody something. I mean, when you look at the fact that the White House has infected more people than some small countries had in a day, that should tell you something about how serious the disease is. And the fact that this White House will not respond to any of the real information they have coming from their own public health officials tells you something about the lack of care that they have.
Ebony, you better comment. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was going to make a comment about McConnell. I think it's absolutely borderline criminal for him to suggest that it's not safe for him and his fellow senators to meet in a very contained space of where we're all adults and we know how to follow protocols and rules and wear masks. But yet he's telling people to send their children, of which we know children, they're beautiful little people. They don't realize the dangers of what happens when you touch your face and when you take your mask off and when you cough in your friend's face. They don't understand that danger. And yet the Senate has stated time and time again that we need to force the doors open to our schools, jeopardize the life of our children, while they get to sit in the safety of their own home with a laptop. And they're now pushing for themselves to be tested on a day-to-day basis. Meanwhile, we have essential workers who've been on the front line since literally the beginning of the pandemic in grocery stores and working in these areas to keep our nation afloat. and they haven't been afforded not one test. And I think that's negligent on the part of the people that we elect to actually serve us.
If you want to see sheer stupidity, folks, this is one of the White House spokesmen today talking to Hallie Jackson on MSNBC. 6 times she asked him when was the last time Donald Trump tested negative for coronavirus. No answer. Watch this.
All right, let's talk about something else that I know that your communications office wanted to get back to us on, which is when was the president's last negative test prior to his diagnosis?
So we don't have that, but we're looking at this from a public health perspective in that when there's an indication of a positive test or symptoms showing, then you go back the 48 hours, you do your contact tracing. It's about preventing further transmission of the disease, and that's why we'll be focused on these diagnostics and the ways of measuring transmissibility, because that's really the public health reason for releasing such information. It's to prevent further transmission of the disease. So that's where we're focused.
Sure, and of course to look at what potential exposures may have happened before the president's diagnosis. So on that last negative test, you said you don't have that. You don't know, or you don't want to say?
So we don't have that. I don't personally know.
Right. What does that mean? Have you asked, Brian?
Rules.
I think Wednesday you said you're going to look into that.
So Hallie, the president doesn't check all of his HIPAA rights at the door just when he becomes president. The doctors obviously share fulsome information with the president. The president shares a great deal of information with the American public. We have gone through numerous briefings with the doctors, 6 memos from the doctors, his daily vitals we put out yesterday. We've had briefings with the chief after interacting with the president. We've had Kayleigh come out and talk. I am now speaking with you about all the information we can share. But just because he's president doesn't mean he shares every single detail of his entire life. But we do share enough information, certainly for public health purposes. Yeah.
So it's a privacy thing then, the reason why you're not saying the last negative test? HIPAA?
So that is one reason. The fact of the matter is there's a reason to share certain information. It's to prevent further transmission of the virus. It's public health purposes, and that's what we're doing.
Lord, Ebony, the fool kept saying, no, we're not going to go backwards. We're going to go forwards. Y'all lying.
Right.
Y'all lying.
Right. Absolutely. Right. I mean, this is just a cover up. And, well, even Trump said in his own recordings with Bob Woodward, they try to downplay this virus. And unfortunately, and I do fully believe in the privacy and the right for individual people to have their medical records to themselves. I mean,
not the president.
But and here's the thing. Not the president to a certain extent. When you decide that you want to dictate whether or not you're going to be passing this virus onto other people, that you're going to bring 700 people onto your lawn, where there's literally laws that state that we don't even want that many people to gather in one space at one time in general during this pandemic. But when you are known to be positive, when you are going against everything that the CDC has laid out as far as its guidelines of how to prevent spread of this virus, that's negligence. And there needs to be some checks and balances or some safeguard in American politics where we say that the leader of our nation cannot become a dictator doing whatever he feels like he wants to do on any given day. This is dangerous.
But Michael, when you're the president, I'm sorry. All that goes out of the window. The reality is the health of the person sitting in the Oval Office. That is different. It is no different than you. Here's the deal. If you're a United States senator or you're a member of Congress, sorry, that privacy stuff goes out there. You are a public official.
Well, not only that, Roland, but if we go back to 2016, it was Donald Trump who said that Hillary Clinton was not physically fit, physically able to do the job as president. When we look at this here, a couple of days ago, Donald Trump said, now this may not be the most politically correct thing to say, and I know we have Dr. Ebony Hilton here, who's a doctor. She may disagree with me, but he said that coronavirus, he thinks him getting coronavirus was a gift from God. And
no. He also said, I might be immune to it. You never know.
But
How the hell are you immune to something you got?
Hold on, Roland. Hold on. Now, this is one of the few times I agree with Trump. I think it is a gift from God that he got coronavirus, but not a gift to him. I think it may be a gift to us. Okay, the reason why, we don't wish harm on them, but let's look at this. ABCnews.com reported a couple of days ago that 34 people around either at the White House, Kayleigh McEnany, people like that, White House press secretary, or people with the Trump campaign, like Chris Christie, former Governor Chris Christie, have caught coronavirus. Now, if you can't protect people that work at the White House, I'm not talking about the cooks and, the butlers and things like that. But if you can't protect people like that at the White House, how are you going to protect 330 million people? So what this is doing is showing how he is falling down on the job, how he is derelicting his duties. Now, we don't wish harm on anybody, but a lot of people think this is karma coming back on him.
Yeah, I would say.
Hey, Rob, first of all, let me be real clear. I don't wish harm on anybody. I don't have any sympathy for stuck on stupid people.
I have zero. I mean, that's exactly where I was going. You took the words out of my mouth. I'll say this: what the medical journal's endorsement shows is that those who follow science, those who follow data, and those who have a little bit, an ounce, a mustard seed, whatever you want to call it, of common sense for their life, for their respect, for the nation, are not going to follow this man. I mean, and so anybody that is even entertaining this, anybody that's talking about a third party, anybody that's unsure, who the hell are these unsure voters? Like, what's moving your decision at this point? So I don't think there's many of those voters left. We need to make sure people get out there, vote, because this is your life. And this is also really the future of the whole nation, because this man, he's actually talking right now, trying to put Obama and Biden and people in jail for nothing. He wants to be a dictator. This is not a joke. This is not practice. Everybody needs to go out there and make sure you vote, get your friends to vote. This is not a normal election. People say that all the time, but we've had Trump. The test is over. People know exactly what he's about. He's a racist. He's crazy. He happens to have the unique combination of being both incompetent and corrupt. We got those things don't mix at all. We need to get them out.
When you are unwilling to answer basic questions, when you're unwilling to say, Ebony, this is the last time he tested negative, here's the whole deal. In fact, when he was on Sean Hannity last night asked the fool several times, and his ass wouldn't answer the question. Here's the deal. When you won't answer the question, that means your ass still got it.
Right. And what we know is that you can test for positive for COVID-19 far past the time that you're actually infected. And that's going to be really confusing for certain people. But we know your body is still shedding viral particles. Now, what we don't know is just how much virus you have to shed before you can actually pass that on seriously to someone else. There's not been a large enough study to see what threshold is safe. And so therefore we say we need to base your isolation and your quarantine on certain subset of trusted norms, of which he is not out of that range of time to be isolated tomorrow for him to be having any type of 700 people come anywhere close to him. And so I would urge everyone who is thinking about attending this event to not do it. What we see is that, like we said, Chris Christie is positive. He admitted himself to the hospital, of which that doesn't happen. Someone admitted him to the hospital. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't heard an update on his status.
Oh, no, he's still in the hospital. He's still he went in Saturday. He's still in.
Right. And but my question is, what is your status?
Right. Well, they released no status. But here's the other deal. After the debate, Pence and his wife canceled their travel to Indiana. We heard no status there as well. We do have a status of this here. Remember, the debate commission announced that they would have a virtual debate on October 15th. Trump said, absolutely not. That's a waste of my time. But he spent 2 hours on the phone today cussing with Rush Limbaugh. That's the same thing, fool, being on the phone and then doing virtual. But so the debate commission has now announced there will be no debate on October 15th as a result of Trump's stance. And we also know that on that day, Joe Biden's going to be doing a town hall with ABC News. Speaking of COVID-19 tests, South Carolina, there was supposed to be a debate tonight, Ebony, between Senator Lindsey Graham and Jamie Harrison. Harrison said, yo, we ain't debating unless your ass take a COVID test. And then Lindsey Graham decided to drop a letter. I love this. I'm trying to pull this up. This letter that he dropped from a doctor He was like, I'm not going to take medical advice from my opponent. But the bottom line is Jamie Harrison basically said, I ain't debating you unless your ass take a damn test. And he said, you've been around all the rest of them people. And so I ain't doing it. So here's the letter. Let me pull this up. Here's the letter that Lindsey Graham produced. I have reviewed the circumstances associated with your Judiciary Committee hearing of October 1st and possible exposure to a person with coronavirus. Based on the present Centers for Disease Control criteria to establish risk of coronavirus transmission, you do not meet the criteria for, quote, close contact requiring isolation or quarantine. You do not require coronavirus testing. You should remain attentive to CDC social distance guidelines for reducing risk of coronavirus disease in your daily life and contact a physician should you notice the development of fever or any of the typical signs of coronavirus infection. Brian P. Moynihan, MD. He's a professor of medicine and pathology in D.C. He's attending physician for the United States Congress. Here's the problem with this, Ebony. Dude, just take a test.
Right.
Listen.
Just take a test.
It's one of those things where didn't Trump say the same thing when he tried to do the honor system of saying that he wasn't positive when he was on the stage with Joe Biden fully positive.
Wait, Kayleigh McEnany. She did briefings with reporters for 3 consecutive days, no mask and giving them, I tested negative, I tested negative. They came out, I'm positive.
Right. And it's one of these things, honestly, where even with Trump, I think the reason why he's not saying when the last negative test was because he was not testing as he was supposed to be testing.
There you go.
And one of the things that I've tried to start tweeting about to whoever will hear it is that what we need to do is subpoena the CEO of Regeneron, which is the company that had the experimental monoclonal antibody cocktail that Trump took in the White House. Go ahead and subpoena that CEO and ask them, when was the first dose of Regeneron actually given? Because if he started receiving that medicine before the debate, then he knew he was positive.
There you go.
And he got on stage with our future president, Pence, intentionally knowing that he could potentially infect him. And I feel like that should be investigated. So whoever wants to take that and run with it, go ahead and have fun.
Well, that's what's going on there. So, look, we're dealing with stuck on stupid people here. Bottom line, folks, is every time Donald Trump talks coronavirus, I hope that's just one more point where his polling numbers drop. People are voting right now, folks. Vote. Polls don't mean nothing. Vote. Get this fool out because they have no plan whatsoever to actually deal with this. And when a fool stands in front of senior citizens and say, it's okay, I got it, but you're not going to get it, but you might get it. Y'all, the man is talking crazy. The steroids are speaking, or some other drug is speaking for him. Ebony Hilton, Dr. Ebony Hilton, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, the folks at Seek.com, black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. They, of course, a virtual reality company. You can check out their content at Seek.com, CEEK.com. You can do so, of course, with these VR headsets. You can look at it, of course, on your regular device or your pad or your computer. But if you want to experience being in the room, you can use this headset right here. All you simply do is just pop in your cell phone in here, pop it on, and then put this headset on, and you can literally experience their content in virtual reality. And so allows for you to do a 360-degree view of the room. But also, folks, they have the 360-degree 4D headphones right here. These are Bluetooth headphones. They have complete surround sound in terms of as you hear the particular music. Gamers love them as well when they're playing their games. And so it's just phenomenal bass in these headphones as well. You can get one or both devices at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP 2020, RMVIP 2020. So we certainly thank the folks at Seek.com for being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right.